Hey everyone, it's Dylan with SeaTee Aquatics, and today we're talking about temperature. So what is the ideal temperature range in a reef tank? Ideally, the temperature is going to be anywhere between 76 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, as this is the temperature range that the corals are most adapted to in the wild. Coral and fish tend to live in tropical zones, and the water tends to stay at least above 75 degrees. Now, in nature, obviously, temperature is going to fluctuate quite a bit, regardless of where you are. But in the tropical areas, it doesn't typically get too much below 70 degrees. In our fish tanks, we want to keep the numbers as stable as possible in order to help promote less stress, better coloration, and more growth. In my opinion, it is best to keep the temperature range as tight as possible, having the smallest degree swing you can. Most heaters that we buy from the fish store will have a 2-degree swing, meaning that if you set your temperature to 78 degrees, you should expect to see temperatures anywhere from 77 to 79 degrees. It can go up or down 1 degree from the set point. This is a pretty typical swing and is more than fair for any fish tanks. If you're able to maintain that swing at a lower amount using a controller such as the Hydros or Apex, you can do so by setting your temperature range and using a temperature probe. In most of my tanks are set to 78 degrees plus or minus 0.25 for a grand total of a ½ degree swing, meaning that my tanks are almost dead set right at 78 degrees all the time. Keeping the temperature stable, just as we keep any of the other elements stable, will help to reduce coral stress, promote growth and coloration. So what happens if our tank gets too hot? Well, in some areas of the country or the world, using a heater may not be the best option, as the temperatures in your area are already past that 78 mark, sometimes well into the 80s, and the fish tank can suffer when this happens. In that case, instead of adding a heater to the tank, you would want to add a chiller. Again, the goal is to maintain the temperature as close to 78 as possible. So what happens if the temperature gets too high? Well, heat stress can be very detrimental, especially to coral. Any hard coral can die very rapidly if exposed to too much heat. When temperatures get too high, the first thing you'll tend to notice is bleaching, which means that the coral's color will start to decrease. It will start to white out. If the temperatures increase too high too quickly, or the swing is too large, it can cause all of the coral to rapidly bleach and even experience tissue necrosis, which is when the coral just pretty much strips all of its zooxanthellae belly into the water and leaves behind a bleached white skeleton. And what happens if the temperature gets too cold? Typically it's very similar, except the stress may be prolonged. You may not see the rapid discoloration as you would with super high heat, but typically cold is also going to stress out the organisms, affect their metabolism, and can eventually result in death. With that being said, I find that it is super important to keep an eye on temperature regularly. Check to make sure your heaters or chillers are always functioning properly, and to make sure that you have an accurate temperature gauge reading out a temperature at all times. If you're lucky enough to have a controller, I also highly recommend setting up an alarm if the temperature is to go out of the range. So there you go. Today, we've gotten to talk about the importance of temperature and maintaining it in your reef tank. Hope you enjoyed what you saw, and remember, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications to join us on our journey through the sea. Or drop a comment below and let us know what you thought of the video. Thanks for watching.